Welcome to Spanish language pronunciation. Luckily for you, the Spanish language is phonetic, meaning words are pronounced exactly as they look, as long as you know the rules of the language. This video is mostly about Latin American pronunciation, but we will go over pronunciation in Spain as well. Let's check it out. Currently, the Spanish alphabet has 27 letters. However, this chart here shows 30 letters. This is the Old Spanish alphabet as it existed before 2010. As of 2010, the letters Che, Ege, and R don't exist anymore, but Ñ is still a part of it. However, because those sounds are important, we will be going over them here in this video as well. We will go over the consonants first. There are 25 consonants in the Old Spanish alphabet and 22 in the current Spanish alphabet. These letters are pronounced exactly the same way as they would be in English. We have B, Che, D, F, K, L, M, N, P, S, T, and W. Notice that all of these are not aspirated, which means if you put your hand in front of your mouth, no air will come out when you say these. This is a bit different from English because we might be used to saying poder with a lot of air, like in pot, poder, but you really got to say poder and try to keep as little air from coming out of your mouth as possible. C and G are two very special letters in Spanish. If the vowel that comes afterwards is an A, an O, or a U, it gets a hard sound, so ka, ko, ku, or ga, go, gu. However, if it's an E or an I sound, then the letter changes. If you're in Latin America, CE will be se, and CI will be si. However, if you're in Spain, it'll be se and thi. With the G sound, it won't be g anymore, it'll be a h sound. Kind of like the letter J that we'll learn later. So the words we have are carne, cebra or cebra, cierto or cierto, como, cucaracha, ganar, inteligente, jengibre, gozo, and gustar. Congratulations, you finished half the consonants. Luckily, H is easy. It's always silent in Spanish, no matter where it is in the word. That's why we say hola and not hola. So the first in each row is hogar and ahogar. The sound the J makes does not exist in English. It's similar to an H, but a little harder. So the first one of each row is jamón, jamón, eje, eje, and reloj, reloj. Note that if English isn't your native language, or you're learning languages with other alphabets, check out the letters in the bubble below to see if you already know how to pronounce this sound. Ñ is the only letter of the current Spanish alphabet that doesn't exist in the English alphabet. This is pronounced like a ñ sound, like an NY, ñ. You can see this in the words ñuñoa, ñoquis, piñata, mañana, niño, and pañuelo. The letter Q is pretty much never alone. You will always see it with a U. QU is pronounced K. Notice that this is different from the English qua. So we have querido, calque, equilibrio. R and R can be a bit tricky, so I've put them on the same slide. R is a tap, which means you only roll it once, and R is a trill, which means you roll it multiple times. As you can see, I've divided the screen into two halves. The left half is situations where you will use a trill, R. So whenever a word starts with the letter R, like rosa, it's a trill. And whenever you have two R's, it's also a trill. Error, arroyo. On the right side, we have taps. So whenever you have an R in the middle or in the end of a word, it'll be a tap. Era, crecer, morder. And finally, saber. These vary from country to country. Most of the time, you'll hear them pronounced exactly the same way as the letter B. So our words are vino, vela, verano, and volver. Notice that this is a B that is not aspirated. However, certain countries will pronounce it more like a V, or a mix between a V and a B. So we have vino, vela, verano, volver. For the sake of ease, we will be using the first pronunciation for the rest of these slides. The pronunciation of the letter X really depends on the word and the word origin. So, for words that are more Texan, like Mexico and Texas, you'll be pronouncing it the same way as the letter J, like a h sound. For words that come from Latin, like xilófono and xenophobia, it will be pronounced like an S. For words that come from English, like examen and taxi, it's pronounced like an X. Finally, also from Mexican words, it can be pronounced like a CH, chela or chicle. Y is a bit tricky, mostly because it varies from country to country. Most of the time, you'll hear ya, like in yerdo, but sometimes you'll hear ja, like in yerno. So it really depends on where you are. Also, in the beginning and middle of the words, it's pronounced differently than if it is right after a vowel. So we have I and le, though we'll talk more about vowel combinations later. All you need to know for now is that for the rest of the PowerPoint slides, we'll be using ya as our pronunciation. Yerno, ayudar. A is even trickier than Y because it has even more variations. The most common one, and the one that we'll be using for this presentation, is ya, llamar, orgullosa. Another common one is ja, llamar, orgullosa. Another Y that's pretty common in IPA, it looks like the letter lambda, is this sound.
Ya, ya.
Not to be confused with the first Y.
Ya, ya.
So watch out for those. And now in Latin America, Argentina has a lot of variation too. Certain places will say sh, like sh in English, chamar, orgullosa, and some will use zh, like in the word measure. So llamar, orgullosa. Z can be pronounced in two different ways, depending on if you're in Latin America or in the Barcelona area of Spain. In Latin America, Z is always pronounced like an S. Zafar, zeta, lápiz, zorro, zurdo. However, in Barcelona area, it would be pronounced like a TH. Zafar, zeta, lápiz, zorro, zurdo. We will be using the Latin American pronunciation for the rest of this course. There are 5 vowels in the Spanish alphabet. Luckily, these sounds are pretty easy, and they will be essential for building off into other languages like Italian and Chinese. Let's check them out. A is pretty much always pronounced like A. Salsa, mariachi, El Salvador, Panama. One thing to notice is that unlike in English, your mouth should always stay in the same shape. It's not ah, it's ah. This sound can be pronounced differently with certain vowels. So AE sounds normal, saeta. AI or AY changes to an I sound, so Thailandia. AO is an AO, Taoismo. And AU is an AU, sauna. E is pretty much always pronounced E in Spanish. Don't say A, it's E. We have baile, Ecuador, Venezuela, fea, le, leona, seudónimo. O is especially important to get the shape of your mouth. It's not O with a big mouth change, it's O, O. So we have Concha, Bolivia, Colombia, Balboa, Poeta, and Sois. Notice that OI or OY will change the pronunciation to OI. I has two different pronunciations. If it's an I all alone, or if it has an accent, it's pronounced I, like in título, burrito, Chile, or in tía, sonríe, Rio. However, if it's an I plus a vowel, it becomes a Y sound. Piano, tiempo, biología, viuda. Last letter of the alphabet. U can be pronounced in two different ways. If it's surrounded by consonants or it has an accent, it's pronounced U. And if it's followed by a vowel, it's pronounced W. So the words on this slide are pupusa, Cuba, churro, cuatro, suerte, buitre, and cuota. Notice that the pronunciations are not the same for ge, gi, ke, and ki. While the four exceptions on the previous slide were ge, gi, ke, and ki, if you want that U sound to be pronounced like a W, all you have to do is add an umlaut, two dots to the top. So if we go down the middle column here, we have sigue and guion, that's before the umlaut, cigüeña and pingüino, which is after the umlaut. Here we have querer and quien before the umlaut, so no W, and then after the umlaut, que and quisqui, which is more of a W sound. Also, watch out for the words on the wings, because those still are pronounced like W's. Guardar, agua, quasar, and quo. Congratulations! You've made it to the end of the Spanish alphabet. Hopefully you feel proud of yourself, because that was a long one. I hope you'll come visit me in the next video for stress, syllables, and intonation. I'll see you there.